Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the next video segment. Today we're going to be talking about foundation replacement. So, foundation replacements. So, there is a time for foundation replacement. And what replacement is, you got, that big footing that we were talking about, and it's got, the fire block on top and blah blah, and then the wall goes up here and so on and so forth, right? So what they basically do is they support this section. They can sometimes lift it up, and if I'm looking at the side of the house, or if I'm looking at like a floor plan of a house, they'll do like 10-foot sections at a time instead of the whole house, because it's just kind of easier that way. Otherwise, they can do the entire sections all at one time and put temporary supports on the house through. Anyway, temporary support it, lift it up, and then they break out the bottom half, set new forms, pour new concrete, set this back down onto the new concrete, and then attach it with anchor bolts, and life is good. So basically, if there's bad concrete, you replace it with good concrete. If it is structurally deficient, if it doesn't have rebar, especially if you see like you got your footing, if I'm looking like at the side of the house, right? And it's got a horizontal crack, and if that horizontal crack has like a brownish mush, it almost looks like rust starting to form on the outside of it, it's a good sign that the rebar has expanded and begun to corrode or break down, in which case you might want to consider doing a foundation replacement. In the instance of super old foundations, they are brick and mortar or stone and mortar foundations, super against building code nowadays. Some of them are pretty strong, not gonna lie. Some of them are not, most of them are not, which is why they're illegal now, excuse me. Or if you get something that is in like a historic district where you can't do a foundation replacement because they want to keep that sort of modern style look of the brick and mortar or stone and mortar. So checking with the building department as far as doing different types of repairs is always super important. You can usually squeak away with a foundation replacement if you can argue that it's below ground and it's never going to be seen, but back and forth, right? So the big thing about foundation replacement is it has very little to do with foundation movement. Unless you design the new foundation with a deep foundation system to penetrate past that 10 feet we were talking about in one of our other videos, then whatever soils conditions existed to create the settlement portion of the home will still exist when you put a new shallow foundation on top. So unless you were to reinforce this new foundation with the PT cables like we were talking about, and that distributes the load enough that the home doesn't like tilt or lean or anything like that, unless that happens, then the brand new foundation you're spending all the money on putting back in is probably going to also settle, which will also break, which will also crack, which will also have all of the problems on the inside and so on and so forth. So specifically for foundation movement problems, not very often do we recommend foundation replacements. It makes it a type B repair for us, right? Not quite type C, which is just cosmetic repairs, not type A, which addresses the issues themselves, but type B. Now, I've taken a look just a few months ago at a project in the city of Long Beach where I could take the pen that I had and literally push or dig out the concrete or push the pen into the concrete. That's just super brittle. You probably want to consider doing a foundation replacement. Now, you can supplement that with additional support via compaction grouting, using the cementitious grout or polyurethane or something to strengthen the soil and then build the new foundation on top. You can design a deep foundation system where even if I were to change, even if I were to change this out, right, and fire block, and you got, the rest of the house, right? It's a little inaccurate, whatever. So we've got this new foundation that we're building, and we cut this out, and then we put a new one in, and then running it down the line, right, you could put a deep foundation system here and here, and so on and so forth. So you can design a deep foundation system with the new foundation that goes in, and that could solve or mitigate the soil's movement problems, right? But you have to do something to address the soil. Assuming you had a good civil or geotechnical engineer who's designing the new foundation with the structural or whatever, they're going to take this into account and give you a new deep foundation system one way or the other. Anyway, but yeah, that's it for foundation replacements. Very simple. If it's broke, fix it. A lot of people will push this type of repair for movement problems. You will inevitably be disappointed.